What is happening, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Ty with the GoPro strapped to my head, and who's ready for a test drive in the 2025 Kia K5? Now this one is in the GT line. It's got all-wheel drive and also the premium package, so this is a really nicely optioned K5, and you'll be surprised when you see the MSRP. I'm going to walk over there in just a minute. But for 2025, we do have an update for the K5, so we could see a new front end, especially with these pretty cool looking zigzag headlights. New wheels too, 18 inches for this GT line. Panoramic roof, 12 speaker Bose audio system. Lots and lots of goodies in this car for a total sticker price of $33,425. Really not a bad asking price whatsoever. You've got that cool trim that runs all the way above the windows and all the way around the vehicle too. Parking sensors front and rear on this vehicle too. And it's just a really sharp looking car from pretty much any angle. Now let's open up a couple of doors before we get it out for a test drive. The trunk, you know, obviously this is a mid-size sedan, and that's what kind of mid-size sedans do well. Rear seat room and trunk room, and this car definitely delivers. We've got a 60-40 split rear seats and lots of space with a spare tire underneath. Nice materials in this car too, so you don't usually see a lot of soft touch materials back here, but it is all the way up here. We have this nice soft leatherette stitching, nice looking trim, again the 12 speaker Bose audio system, and we've got a nice panoramic roof for the driver and the front passenger, as well as the rear passengers to gaze at. Now I am 5'10", and I adjusted this front seat to a normal driving position for myself, and tons of leg room. We have USB-C chargers back here, LED interior illumination, and an armrest back here too. Smart key entry on both the front door handles. Nice looking seats too for the GT line. As you can see, fully powered two-way lumbar for the driver's seat. And I like the white accents too with the stitching, perforations. Like I said, this is a really nice car for the money. All right, enough of the chatter. Let's get this thing out on the road. First things first, let's put our seatbelt on. Safety first. Turn down the AC a little bit. Pretty cool key on this car too. We've got the new style Kia key fob there. Pretty cool. And let's get it out on the road. Now we have a couple of different driving modes to play around with, and we are going to start in normal mode. And we will get an acceleration test, hopefully a 0 to 60 if there's not a lot of traffic around. We could do a 0 to 60 test, and we'll switch it over into sport mode, see if that makes a difference. But for the first kind of driving scenario, we're going to get this on a more of a main road, so we'll see what it's like, hopefully at 45-50 miles an hour. We are approaching lunchtime here, so hopefully traffic isn't too bad. And then for the remainder of the video, we'll get this on a back road, so we'll do that acceleration test. We'll see how it handles bumps and also the turns, and we have a nice test drive planned out for us today. Now, if you are interested in seeing a full features review of this very K5, be sure to check my channel or just wait till the end of this video, as I will have a link towards the bottom at the end of this video again, so that you can click on the full features review. And off we go. Now, first impressions on the K5, obviously we've just been driving around a couple of minutes here. First thing that kind of caught my attention is the steering. It's got a really nice weight to it for kind of around town use, and it weightens up a little bit nicer on once we get it up to speed. Kind of turn down the AC here so we can listen. For the most part, it is a pretty quiet ride, not going as fast as we had hoped, but 35 miles an hour. You get a little bit of tire noise, a little bit of noise from the oncoming traffic, but nothing we can't handle. Now, the engine does stay nice and quiet. We really don't hear the engine all that much around in the normal driving, at least as we're doing now. Yeah, so just a little bit of tire noise, a little bit of wind noise, nothing crazy. Okay, so now we have made it to the most exciting part of the video. Let's do our acceleration test. We're going to switch it into sport mode. And we're going to get it to 25 and kind of mash the throttle, and we'll see how fast we can get up to 60. Here we go. Quick brake test. Yeah, so pretty good amount of power from this K5. Now, there are two different engine options available. This one being the 2.5 liter 4-cylinder, no turbos or anything like that, but it produces some pretty healthy numbers, 191 horsepower and 181 pound-feet of torque. So that's pretty good for a naturally aspirated 4-cylinder. Now, of course, this one does have all-wheel drive. You can also get front-wheel drive with this engine, and it's paired up to an 8-speed automatic transmission. So 8-speed did a nice job of getting us in the right gear for the acceleration, and the 4-cylinder engine did a pretty good job of getting us up to speed. So what that test is really meant for is kind of getting onto a highway ramp. Maybe it's a short highway ramp, or it's even one of those that has a stop sign to get onto the highway. So that's kind of what that test is more designed for. Now, there is a different engine option available on the GT trim level. We have the 2.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, and that gets just about 100 more horsepower, so 290 horsepower, and I believe it's around 311 pound-feet of torque. And that car is front-wheel drive only with an 8-speed dual-clutch transmission. So two pretty different drivetrains available in the K5. Now we're on kind of a bumpy section of this road here, so we can kind of get a suspension test. And I'm pleasantly surprised so far. The suspension seems to be soaking up the bumps just fine. It definitely is more of a comfortable ride setup. Now, I've got a nice S-turn coming up here, so we can kind of do a little bit of a test here to see how it handles. So yeah, nothing crazy for the handling test there, but just kind of tossing it around the corners there, it does feel pretty good. You know, a little bit of body roll, but that comes along with just you know, comfortable suspension setup. So I would say pretty good in the corners. You know, I would imagine that the GT, not the GT line, the GT would handle a little bit better. And it, of course, has more power, so it'll definitely be more fun. we'll switch it back to normal driving mode there. I really like the gauge setup in this car. It's pretty cool. It's definitely very kind of futuristic looking. You have these kind of yellow setup for the tachometer and speedometer, so that's pretty neat. And then we have an informational display which you can adjust in the center there. Very intuitive touchscreen too. Built-in navigation in this car. That's pretty cool. And I've kind of like Kia's solution to the kind of physical screen buttons, and also the climate control. You can kind of switch between them right here, which frees up some space for you know, the lack of buttons and things like that, lack of clutter in this vehicle. But it also gives you kind of the essential things that you really want for physical buttons within the interior. Yeah, so the engine does stay nice and quiet under normal acceleration. Definitely once you get on the throttle, like the full throttle acceleration we did before, you can definitely hear it. But when you don't want to hear it, it stays pretty quiet. The road sign recognition does a very nice job. You could see the speed limit down there, and it also told me we had a sharp curve coming up, so that works very nicely. And as far as my overall thoughts on the K5, this is a really, really big bang for your buck. I mean, there is lots and lots of features in this car at that $34,000 price point. It's plenty roomy, it's got plenty of stuff, and that pretty much does it. Make sure you check out our full features review, which should be popping up at the bottom of your screen right now. And thank you very much for watching. I hope you stick with us here at Ty Drives for more videos just like this one.